This was like a really good time. Would you give us a tour of your setup?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to see how it all fits together because it's really cool.
All right. So we have Loopy Pro on the iPad, which is directly in front of me. And I'm using one of the templates. So basically, I started from the Ableton Scene template grid. And that was to allow me to have multiple rows where I can have different sections of a song and be able to trigger it. And so, I have the top row and it says scene 1 at the end, and the next row with scene 2, so on and so forth. So that's the iPad with Loopy Pro. I'm gonna do the hardware, and that's gonna be quick. And I hear a rooster crowing.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. They're my coding assistants. Yep. Just keep it in front. They just peck away.
So we had the iPad in front of me, and we have a USB C dongle which connects to my audio interface. I'm using a Personas Studio Live 16R, so it's a rack mixer basically. And that's where all of the instruments are connected. And so that includes 2 mics, one for vocal, one for my instruments, or my saxophone. And then I have another mic that's kind of a clip-on that I use for percussion. And that's connected to the bongos I have here. Well, I'll also do some like shaker. And then I have my bass connected and my guitar connected in as well. And then we have this keyboard, which is like my main keyboard for choosing sounds. And I have it set up so that I can select sounds easily and fast because, again, it's about getting ideas out quickly.
Does the sound actually come from the keyboard, or is it running just MIDI into plugins? Yeah.
No, the sound actually comes from the keyboard. I do have this MIDI controller here, which is the Launch Key 37. And this, along with the iPad, kind of make up my mobile rig. So if I go somewhere, travel somewhere, I can take these 2 things in the audio interface and I can basically do what I already do here in the studio. It's just most of the instruments will be virtualized inside of Loopy Pro. So this keyboard actually sends audio, and then I have a eDrum kit that can send MIDI as well as audio. And so I'll use apps like One Shot for drums and that sort of thing. I use tons of AUV3 apps. I just kind of went crazy when...
As you do. I mean, they're amazing. There's so many awesome plugins on iOS. You could just spend a lifetime exploring.
People really underestimate the power of the iPad and where it's come from. So, yeah. So audio interface, controller, instruments, of course. And you may see tons of other instruments. So I have a analog mono synth back here, and that's going to a talk box. So I have a talk box at my feet with talk box 2. Yeah. And so I can do talk box stuff when I'm doing funk and whatnot. What else should you know? Because there are a lot of instruments here, like my EWI, my electronic wind instrument, and that'll get plugged into the mixer as well for audio.
Right. Also, it actually generates the audio as well, does it?
Yeah, it generates the audio. And then I can also attach a MIDI cable. I have these CME wireless MIDI cables, and I can use that for like SWAM trumpet. Since I don't really play trumpet, I'll use that for trumpet, which works really, really well. So I'm using, the Ableton style grid with the scene selector. So, I can do those, select a row to trigger. So some songs that have 2 parts, like I do a song called Mr. Magic, and I'll record the initial groove here. And then when it goes into the verse / the chorus, I'll record that into one of these loops. And so I can go between the 2 whenever I want and have a performance. I'm still kind of working out how that works and practice on some songs because it is tricky. It's tricky, but I know I could probably streamline it as well. I just got to take the time to kind of dig into it. But that's super powerful in and of itself, by itself, right? If we look at the inputs, we have all of the inputs. So these are all of the MIDI. These are all of the MIDI controllers. So we have this controller, we have the drums over there, and various other controllers that are connected or not connected at the moment. So whatever I've had before is probably listed here. And again, this is my template. So I'll build up new songs or new projects from this template. All right. And then we have all of my audio inputs. So we have the keyboard there. We have the mic that I'm talking to right here. I have the horn mic, which is a wireless that I'll plug into the mixer. We have the bass guitar and then the regular guitar. And this is the keyboard. It's not labeled. I probably should label that, right? Make it easier in the future. And then this is the SE1 that we talked about earlier. So that's the SE1. This is why label is important. So everybody label your channel.
No one's judging you.
This is the auxiliary percussion mic that I use for the bongos or shaker or whatever other percussion mic that I'm using. It's also kind of a backup in case my wireless mic for my sax isn't working, then I can just clip it on, during the live stream. So I do live streams and, sometimes stuff happens. Technology doesn't do what it's supposed to do. But for the most part, I've been pretty good. And then I have various other channels. This is where my mode is. And I think the TR-808 is hooked up on 16. And then I put my EWI on 15. Then 11, 12 are the E-drums audio. All right. And then you'll also see that we have some inserts. So on the vocal track, I have a high pass EQ. I just kind of clean up things. Here's another one. I don't know why I have two, but I don't think they're both operating.
If one's good, surely two's better.
Right. And then we have a compressor, and this is all built in. The built-in effects for Loopy are awesome. They're super powerful. They work great. One thing I would like to see how much compression is actually happening on a compressor.
Yeah, that'd be useful.
Mm-hmm,
I have plans to redo that compressor at some point.
Okay. Yeah, but I like that they're light. They don't take up a lot of CPU. Right now I'm at 50%, but I'm doing a lot on this iPad. This is an M1 iPad. So, yeah, exactly. But, I'm able to do all of this, and I like to get the processing as clean and pristine and kind of polished on the front end, going into the loops, aside from, time-based effects like delay and reverb. So, but just like to get it as polished as possible. Again, this is the vocal channel. So I have a Blease Voices, which is a very, very cool app. I don't use it as much as I would like to. It's great for doing like harmonies and like I'll do MIDI harmonies sometimes or what have you. It's super powerful. I really want to get back into using this app. And then this is an app that I just found out about, and it does my vocal tuning. So whenever I want to do a T-Pain or a Drake type of, like I was on the live the other night and I did Daft Punk, Get Lucky.
It's a classic.
I did that going into a Drake song. And so I turned on the auto tune to kind of get that effect and whatnot. So that was kind of cool. All right, so that's the vocal channel, and that's set to go to the loop colors blue and purple. So, that'll go to the blue loops here where I can record vocals. So sometimes I'll be recording a loop, like an instrument loop, like here, and then I may talk or say something, and I don't want that to be in those loops. So that's why I don't have my vocal channel going to orange, yellow, green, or I don't know what color that is. Light blue?
Aqua?
Aqua. There you go. Aqua. But I do have it going to purple. Same thing for the sax mic. And this is also the same template I'll use for my online content. So not just my lives, but my online content. So whenever I'll record everything like session record as well as screen record. And when I have parts where like I'm not recording a loop and I want to solo, if I want that audio to be isolated, then I'll record them in purple so that after the fact, I'll have them to, do whatever I want with, right? All right, so going back to the mixer view, yeah, here's the horn channel. And I do have a delay on there, and that's only for the live, like when I want some extra delay for whatever reason. I don't necessarily want it going into a loop though. And then bass, I have some effects on there. I did have some compression on the bass, but I think I took it off for whatever reason. Guitar, some additional effects. So high pass compressor, phaser by FAC. That's a pretty dope phaser right here. I love it. And then for the most part, everything else is just as the instrument, sounds. That's what's going into the loop. And for the most part, most of the instruments are going to all of the colors, so they can be recorded in any loop. It's just the vocal mic and sometimes the horn mic that may only go to blue or purple. It just depends on what song it is. But for live, this is pretty much the setup. And then we go over to the AUV3 instruments. And so whatever instruments I feel like needed some pre-processing, I have inserts on those. So for like one shot, we have FAC Punch Lab, which is really dope for polishing up your drums and getting them to sound really punchy. Wow, punchy. They could be pumpy as well. I heard that's really good. If you beatbox and you want it to be really punchy, you put like a transient designer on here. So this can give you more attack on that. I'm not a beatboxer. I've tried. That's just one of the things that I'm not that good at, or it just hasn't really super clicked for me. I don't enjoy really doing it, to be honest. So,
well, with a drum kit right beside you, you kind of don't need it.
So, and then I have various AUV3 instruments. This is the splat to clat. So that's for all my hip hop drums and stuff. We have one shot for acoustic bass drums, and it has lots of different drum styles and, 60s drums and funk drums and all kinds of stuff. Then Neo Soul keys, and I only use Neo Soul keys when I'm like mobile, when it's just the iPad and the launch key. And for my Moog sounds, of course, I had the Model D by Moog. That's a nice plugin. Talked about Swam. So I have the double bass when I want to do some jazz stuff and I want an acoustic bass sound. And then we have the Ravencroft piano, which is really good. Pure Synth Platinum for all the synth sounds and pads and stuff. Another one shot for some percussive sounds like congas and that sort of thing. There's another Pure Synth, and I need some 808. So here's an 808 by EGDR 808. And that's the basic template setup, whether I'm mobile or in the studio. And then on the loops, on the loop channels, you see further processing, just to kind of make everything sound good and polished. On the drums, I have Effectrix for when I want to do special effects. And I have that linked to a button actually on the front page. So 2 buttons. I have this button here that'll do like a drum echo type of thing. And then I have this one that it looks like a swirl. You might be able to hear it through my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll do that as an outro about to end the loop when I'm on live. And then I have some bus for effects. So I have a reverb. This is a really good reverb. That is tone boosters. And here's a delay that I use sometimes. And then bus C, I have in some videos where I want to resample everything. I have created a bus and sent that bus to maybe Purple. So I'll send it to Purple to kind of resample into a loop to where I can trigger it as a one shot or as just like a sample, and then do a live finger drum type of hip hop beat on it. So I have videos where I've done that, and that's pretty much it. So let's talk about the master bus. We have some compression going on. So that's just kind of light compression, kind of catching things. And then when I want to do lo-fi, I use this app because it's good at doing kind of lo-fi type effects on it. And so I've been playing around with that. And then here's another effect tricks to kind of affect the whole entire mix. And then we have another tone booster, which is called Barricade. And that's to kind of do that final polish compression, to, give it maybe a broadcast type of sound, get the levels up and kind of squish and glue everything together pretty much.
Nice. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that and your the concepts that you brought from your producer role and how you're applying those here. Yeah.
Yeah. I get compliments all the time about how good it sounds on live. Because everything is, pretty much try to dial everything in as much as possible, to be, what comes out. If I were to go on stage somewhere, I could just give a left and a right to the house person and they wouldn't have to do anything,
That's what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't leave it to the house person.
Yeah. So that's my basic template that I use. You may also see in this template is an XY, and I have that set to a filter, and that's just if I'm feeling, fun.
Fancy.
Just want to, I'm feeling fancy and want to do some filter stuff. And I've been playing around with, I forget what you call it, where you can divide up a loop into beats and just kind of trigger
the slicer.
Yeah.